How you doing?
Hello, how are you? I'm
I'm doing
fine.
good. You're so handsome.
Oh, you too. But it's a picture I'm seeing. I'm not seeing you live.
No, I just want to see you.
Okay. Where are you? Where are you? Hello. Hello, how are
Good.
you?
How are you, sir? Would you like to play a
I'm
match?
fine. What kind of match? No, I'm not playing. What kind of match?
You from Nigeria?
Yes, where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
You're from where in Canada?
We're in Toronto.
Toronto. Okay,
Yeah,
where
man.
in Toronto?
We're
Because I
in.
know Canada very well.
Okay, that's good, man. I
I know
mean,
Canada very well. I know Toronto. I know Mississauga.
I'm in Mississauga.
I know
Wow, you
Bradford.
know.
I know
Walaikum
Mississauga. I
salam.
know
Zade virus na ki ali. Yeah.
I know Oakville. I know Oakville.
Damn, bro, you from Toronto?
No, I Brantford. Brantford.
Brantford. Okay,
When I come on
all right.
holiday,
Yeah, yeah.
I stay in Brantford. I
Okay,
stay in
okay.
Brantford. You know, Toronto, Mississauga, bro, they are all in Ontario. Hello. Today, I'm going to be sharing a story with you guys. You know, I promise, that in this, my video, my TikTok live, I'll be sharing my experiences so that people can learn one or two things, from me so that they can apply it to their business, life, and relationship. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Bruno Oahina. Bruno, but I'm not a dog. Woo, woo, woo. When I tell people my name is Bruno, they always make fun of me. Bruno actually means brown. Bruno means brown. So that's why people with brown dogs, they name it Bruno, you know. But this Bruno is not a dog. I am not a dog. And I will prove it to you. There was a time I used to be, very sensitive when people always make fun of me when I tell them my name. I didn't really like it. I was very sensitive about it. And one day I was reading a scripture in the Bible, and there's this lady that wanted Jesus Christ to heal her child. And Jesus Christ now said, it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. Let me say that again. Say, it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. Then the woman answered, even the little dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Now, if it was today, the era that we are living in now, a lot of people would have been, very angry at that statement that Jesus Christ, made to the woman. He said, it's not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dog, which means he was referring to the woman and her child as little dogs. But the woman was not offended. But she said, even little dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. So there are two things here, There is the master's table, and there is the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Crumbs belongs to dogs. Dogs eat crumbs. But if you belong to the master, if you are a child of the master, you eat from the master's table. Now, God was showing me through that scripture that if you flip dog, if you flip the word dog, it gives you a God. God. Dog is dog. God is God. If you just flip dog, it gives you a dog, a God. So you see, what God was showing me, and the revelation God was showing me is that you used to be a dog when you were not a child of God. Now that you are born again, you are a God, small God, because you are created in the image and likeness of God. And it's actually in the Bible. If you look at John 10:10, it says, ye are gods. Ye are gods. That means you are created, by God. If you are created by God, you are a God, small letter God. So if you are a God, you are a child of God, you are qualified to eat from the master's table. Wow, I laugh and I screamed. I said, no, I'm not a dog. I'm a God, a child of God, small God. I'm not a God, I'm not a dog. I don't eat crumbs. I eat from the master's table. Now, if you relate that to your life, to your business, and to your relationship, don't let people treat you like dog. If you allow people to treat you like dogs, you will be eating crumbs. They will be feeding you with crumbs. They will not allow you access to the master's table. Whether in business or whether in relationship or, whether in our daily living. If you are a child of God, you are not a dog. Don't allow people to treat you like a dog. Stop eating crumbs. This is the time for you to come and eat from the master's table. There are a lot of delicacy on the master's table. So those are some of the things, I will be sharing with you. How I now realize that I'm not a dog, though my name, Bruno, means brown, and people give brown dog, Bruno. But this Bruno is different. This perspective changed my life, my mindset, my thinking about business, about relationship. I started looking at myself, with dignity. I started seeing myself differently, So I stopped taking crumbs from people, and that's why in my business today, my if you look at my payoff, we transform lives. They raise people's standard and make life convenient for them. Do you understand? Because workers are not dogs. They are gods. They are born of God. They are human beings created in the image and likeness of God. So I treat people like a god, except you present yourself like a dog. Now, like I told you, when you are negotiating, when you are doing business, don't let people give you crumbs. Don't take crumbs. You are supposed to eat from the master's table. Master's table. And that was why I was able to turn a salon business and make it corporate and make it big. And through it, I was able to do a lot of greater works, because the Bible talks about in the last days, it said greater works, shall we do, because Jesus Christ has gone to the Father, So as a child of God, you are created to dominate, you are created to be above, not below. You can take anything, it could be tailoring, it could be barbing, it could be car wash. You can take anything, and make it big. You make it corporate. You do it in a corporate way, and that's what I'm actually doing with my business. That's what I'm doing with my business. Because of me, a lot of people are getting into salon business because they are now beginning to see that, you can actually take a small business and make it big. You can take a small business and make it big because of the revelation that God gave me that I am not a dog. I am a God created in the image and likeness of God. So whatever you are doing there, don't let people treat you like a dog. You are not a dog. So the revelation is not for me alone. When God is speaking to one, He's speaking to all. In the scripture, the Bible says 1 is to 1,000. With God, 1 is to 1,000. So when God is speaking to me, He's speaking to 1,000 people out there. He's speaking to 1,000 people out there. So I'm telling you today, in your daily living, you are not a dog. In your business, you are not a dog. In your relationship, you are not a dog. Don't let people treat you like a dog. Because dogs, they eat crumbs that fall, from the master's table. You are a God created in the image and likeness of God. You are supposed to be eating the best parts of the meal. You are supposed to be eating from the master's table. And that's what I do. That's what I do. When I started my business, the first salon I established it in Ikeja City Mall. Ikeja City Mall, and the second one was at Jabi Lake Mall. Right now, I'm in a bigger place opposite Ikeja City Mall. I was not doing roadside salon. I don't do roadside salon. And my salon is well branded, because we are not just a salon, we are more than a salon. Because of this realization, this revelation that I got, that I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am not a dog, but a God. Well, having said that, I promised, I said I'll be sharing my experiences. Most of the things that I experience in life, most of the pains, the hurt, the challenges that I face in life, God always uses it, to speak to me. You can imagine when I tell people my name, they will be making mockery of me, Now, if I tell you my name, I say it with pride. My name is Bruno. And when you now want to tell me that, oh, Bruno, that's a dog's name, I'll tell you this Bruno is not a dog. But if you flip the word dog, it gives you a God. A God created in the image and likeness of God. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can also do that in your business. So my business is not ordinary salon. And it's different from every other salon. Everything that I do is different because I'm created in the image and likeness of God, and I eat from the master's table. I don't eat crumbs. I don't eat crumbs. When I was working in the bank, I worked in the financial institution for over 12 years. People didn't know me. But when I became a banker, when I became a hairstylist, a barber, a lot of people got to know me. You can Google my name, Bruno Aikena. You understand what I'm talking about. When I was working in a bank, it was not easy for me to travel abroad. But as a barber, I've been to Canada, I've been to America, I've been to a lot of countries. I travel and I come back. So that's what you get when you begin to acknowledge God, in your life, and you allow God to speak to you. When you don't listen to the mockery, you don't listen to the things that you don't react unnecessarily to the things that people say to you. When you know how to make the best, out of every situation or circumstances that you find yourself. Like I always tell people, learn how to tell your stories. Your story is not what happened to you. It's not what happened to you. It is what you make out of what happens to you. what you make out of what happened to you. For example, when I was working in the bank, when they asked us to resign, 3 of my colleagues, they died out of shock because they were afraid. They didn't know how they're going to start their life all over again, because the only thing that they knew was banking, And these were people that were even people that were my senior, and they died. They died out of shock because they were asked. Paper will not carry it. Do you understand? But they died. But today, I'm giving jobs. I have given jobs to a lot of people. I've raised over 100 hairstylists. I've given jobs to people. I'm alive giving jobs. They asked me to go because of the realization, because I knew that I'm a child of God. I am a God created in the image and likeness of God. I am not a dog. I left the bank. I stopped taking the crumbs. Then I started my business. And God turned it around and made it big. You understand? To the extent that a lot of all the media houses, many of them in this country, they were after me, interviewing me, wanted to hear my story. Banker turned hairstylist. Now that's the experience I'm sharing. There is nothing, that God cannot do. If you know who you are, if you know your purpose here on earth, there is nothing that you cannot do. You understand? You can do anything. So I whatever situation or circumstances you find yourself, whatever people are throwing at you, always sit down, be observant, always take time. Instead of reacting to people, just ponder, just meditate. There is another thing that I found out in the Bible. Moses, I said something like this in my last video, He observed the burning bush. Then he stepped aside to ponder, to meditate on it, and God gave a revelation. So when people are mocking you, when people are throwing all kinds of things, to you, negative stuff against you, what you need to do is to just meditate, ponder on it, pray about it, and you see God will give you a revelation just the way he gave me a revelation. For those people that are just joining, my name is Bruno Oakina. I'm the CIO, Chief Inspiration Officer of Bruno's Place Unisex Salon. Bruno's Place Unisex Salon is now located at number 3 Ulu Oni Close, opposite Ikeja City Mall entrance gate on Kafi Road. The close is just beside the Place Restaurant. Once you enter the close, you will see number 3. That's where Bruno Unisex Salon is. This is even the best time for you to come so that we can make your hair and make you beautiful for the Christmas. But in this, my live video, I want to be sharing the experience because I've been doing this business for the past 12 years. And before I started this business, I've worked in the financial institution for over 12 years. I worked in the bank for many years. I left as an assistant manager to go and learn how to barb, how to make hair, how to do hair, how to cut, how to style, how to braid, how to do cornrows, I specialize in cutting short hair, and I've raised people. I've raised a lot of people who are working with me, and a lot of people too that I've trained, they have left to set up their own salon. Now I'm using this live video to share my experiences. If you are interested, in starting a small scale business, because I found that, because I've been traveling a lot, I found out that most of the big economies in the world today, majority of their foundation is small scale businesses. They have a lot of small scale businesses. We live in a country here where a lot of small scale businesses are not really encouraged. you know. But there is a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of opportunity here, a lot of opportunity. You can imagine when I was working at the bank, you know, I leave my house very early, maybe as early as 4:30, because I was working in VIA and I was living in Iju then. You know, I have to leave 4:30 to get to work. Sometimes, you know, I get home very late from work. I get home very late from work. And my weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I was using it for seminars. You know, they'll put seminars on Saturday and Sunday. I practically had no time for myself. Monday to Sunday, it was busy working, you know, and all that. And it was difficult for me, you know, to spend time with my family, to spend time with myself. You know, I started asking myself, is this how I'm going to be living my life? Is this how I'm going to live my life? You know, all those Third Mainland Bridge hold up every morning and in the evening. No, I said no. That's when I started thinking about plan B. I started thinking about plan B. And my plan B was setting up a hair that's a unisex salon, because I could remember when I was much younger, you know, I used to use blade and comb to cut my hair, you know. So I looked for a salon that was big, you know, and I was going there, you know, to do apprenticeship, you know, just get to know the basic knowledge about barbing, hairstyling, and also setting up a salon business, you know. So that was how I started, and I trained for about 3 years because I needed to know the key success factor in the business. And to cut the long story short, you know, I started my own business, and the first place I opened my salon was Ikeja City Mall. If you're in Lagos, you will know Ikeja City Mall is one of the busiest and the most expensive mall in Nigeria. I was there for 12 years before I now moved to a bigger space, my new location that's opposite Ikeja City Mall, you know. And this is the business, you know, that made me a multi-millionaire. You know, I was working in the bank, you know, what I've done, you know, as a hairstylist, you know, is far, you know, it cannot be compared to what I was getting when I was working in the bank. When I was working in the bank, the highest amount of money that I received was $500,000 monthly. Do you understand? You know, but today I don't have to tell you how much I earn, you know, but what I pay my staff on a monthly basis is far more than the $500,000 they were paying me on a monthly basis. You can imagine they were paying me $500,000 monthly. Now, what I pay my staff is far more than the $500,000 they were paying me monthly. Now, the good thing I'm happy about doing my own business, you know, is the joy, you know, of giving jobs to people, the joy of transforming lives, the joy of telling people, you know, you can be better. I've trained a lot of security guards. I've trained dropouts, you know. I've trained cleaners. I've converted them, you know, to become hairstylists. And they are doing very well, and they are earning even more than graduates. Do you understand? So that's why I keep telling people it's better, you know, you do business. See, people always look for big things. There are money in small things. If you travel abroad, most of the things that people are running away from doing in Nigeria, that's what they do there. But the only difference is that social amenities, you know, infrastructure, electricity, good road, you know, water, everything is working there. You know, you have access to credit, you know, you can buy a car and all that. That's the only thing they have over there. But you pay a lot of bills. You pay bills. But in Nigeria here, people don't want to do business. They don't want to. They see small scale business, you know, I see it as if it's for dropouts. It's for people who didn't go to school. but there is so much, you can gain, from doing business by focusing on all these the things that people are not looking at. The only thing that you just need to do is just for you to learn how to take that small scale business and make it corporate, like I did with the salon business. What people do, is like the style before I came into the business is that people, they have a salon, they do the work themselves, they're always there. You hear people saying that you don't trust people. If you leave your business, they can take it away from you. People have that kind of archaic mindsets. But when I came into the business, I learned the business, I studied it, I knew the key success factor in the business. I went to a lot of places to go and check how they are doing it. Then the knowledge that I had, I started using it to be training people. I was training people. I was training security guys. I was training because anybody can learn if you have a good teacher. Most people, they know this thing, but they don't know how to teach it. But because of my exposure, I read economics, I worked in the bank, I've seen how bank grow branches. Do you understand? And I was not just an ordinary banker, I was an assistant manager. So I knew how the organization, how the bank works, So I converted it, into a small scale business. I started training people. I was training people, I train people. I still train people today. I started raising them, to the extent that now they are the one doing the job. My own is just to supervise them. My own is just to advise them. My own is just to mentor them. You understand? That sometimes I don't even go to the shop. I go once in a week because I've raised people who are doing it. Last year I was in Canada for 4 months, but my business was running. The other year too, I was in Canada for 4 months. My business was running because I put a structure, in place, and I've built network, and it's working. So you can take a small scale business, and make it big, and make it corporate. So I'm sharing my experiences with you to let you know that it is possible in Nigeria. You can do it here. It is possible. You can do it. All you just need to know is just to know the basic principles, the process. You need to know the process flow. You have to exercise patience to get to know these things, and you discover that is the best. Doing business is the best. Do you understand? I know that a lot of people will say that, everybody can't be a business person. Do you understand? But why don't you try? Why don't you try? Why don't you try to be a business person? Then you will thank me for these things that I'm telling you.